Welcome to another episode of Trendy with Kim Allison. And today, you guys, I'm so excited to introduce Kiara Tribino. She's from Southern California, a colorist who does amazing hair transformations in balayage, blondes, and brunettes. Beyond the chair, she's an equestrian and proud horse owner. Fun fact. We're going to dive into her journey, her passions, and she's going to inspire and give advice to the next generation of hair. And if you guys stay tuned to the end, she's got a special treat. She's going to give away a brunette fall color formula. Yes. So without further ado, are you guys ready to get inspired? Let's get inspired, everybody. Kiara, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Yes, I am so excited to have you here. I truly am. And I feel like I overuse the word excited, but I don't think I could use it enough because this whole thing for me is just a joy. And when I get yeses from guests that I am just dying to talk to, then that makes it that much more special. And I would call this interview special because I do follow you and I love, love, love your work.
Thank you so much. That means a lot. And when you reached out to me, I was like, oh my God, no way. Like I've always, since the beginning of my career, I've always wanted to be featured on a podcast. I listen to a lot of podcasts, and like when it comes to my industry, like I have so much to say. So this is like literally a dream come true.
Oh, I love that. As do I. I love listening to podcasts and I love reality TV. Those are the two things that I love, love, love. And one thing I wanted to circle back to something you said. Thank you when I reached out, how excited you were to be on the podcast. And you are not almost, but you are right there, my ideal guest, because I love those who are relatable, still relatable to the next generation of hairdressers, specifically my newbies that I so lovingly refer to them as. Because if you have a huge following, amazing. If you are doing stage work, if you are almost hairdresser famous, that is amazing, and you deserve all of your flowers, all of the credit. But for the purpose of this platform, I love to talk to people that are closer. They're not so far removed. They're not unattainable, untouchable, unreachable. Those are the people that I feel relate best to my audience, right? And so if you are not to say that, and that's the other thing, just because you are all of those things, you could be just a really good content creator. It doesn't mean that you're doing any better behind the chair like everybody else, right?
That is so valid. Yeah.
Yeah. So, following, that's why I don't care about following counts and numbers and all of that. They're relevant to a certain degree, but for the most part, with respect to this platform, they're not. They're really not.
No, some of my favorite accounts on Instagram or TikTok are people who have like a smaller following because they're kind of going through the same things that I might be going through. Whereas like I just moved to a new city. So I am kind of like rebuilding a clientele. So right now, like what I'm loving is creators that are a little bit smaller who are kind of divulging a little bit on what they're doing to get new clients and stuff like that. Whereas the people who are on the big stage and who have like, upwards of 100,000 followers, like they're set, they have their clientele, they have 3 assistants. Of course, that is definitely something that I would love to see for myself in the future. But as for right now, it's not relatable to me right now. So I totally wholeheartedly understand where you're coming from.
Oh, I love that. Perfect. And, like I say, it's, two things are true at the same time always. And it's good to be super successful on this level, right? Because we're all successful. Just again, has nothing to do with social media, your talent, your skill set, or your success.
Definitely.
So let's dive in to your journey. Tell us a little bit about your hair journey in the industry and what drew you to specialize specifically in color.
Okay. So I've been a hairstylist since 2017. I graduated from Paul Mitchell, and straight from there, at the time, I felt pretty confident. I didn't feel like I needed to be an assistant. So I decided to go into like kind of more like a corporate setting salon, because I knew that I needed help building my books. So I don't know if you are familiar or if you remember Regis salons. They're no longer with us.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, in the mall.
Yeah.
They're in the
Yeah.
mall.
In the
Yeah.
mall, exactly, exclusively with malls. So that's where I kind of got my foot in the door. And I was at Regis in the mall for about maybe 7 or 8 months. I learned a lot that was like immediately out of school. It was like salon reality, which is completely different. But I learned so much. And from there, I jumped to a commission salon. Built my books there. And that is where I really fell in love with color, because I wasn't really put in a box at that point. I wasn't an employee. I could do whatever I wanted. I could try whatever color lines I wanted. And that's where I really fell in love with lived in color. Originally, I didn't start out like wanting to specialize in brunettes. That came much later, but that's definitely where I fell in love with lived in color.
Oh, that's amazing. Brunettes, I am so excited that they're back.
Yes.
I love like shiny, rich, healthy looking hair. I just do. So and I didn't think they'd ever come back. Honestly, all the extensions and the blondes, I was like, no, that's never.
I know. And I think it's here to stay. I really do, because, you know, people like you and me who are born with dark hair, you know, getting blonde for us is a lot more challenging, and it comes with a lot more, you know,
damage,
the dryness, exactly, the damage. So many of my clients are actually able to grow their hair wherever they want it to be, because we're not over processing the hair to give them these looks. I do think that these colors they're going to be here to stay.
Great feedback. Hey, what is your favorite thing about working with hair color transformations?
Oh my gosh.
I know you just kind of tapped on it, but when I look at your work, which we're going to get to here shortly, you take very, very dark hair and you're able to give it a very healthy highlight. So let's talk about it.
Oh my gosh. So I love the look on people's faces when I can deliver the look that they're wanting. So I'm a very visual person. I always ask them to come in with 2 to 3 inspo photos, and then I can kind of create off of that. And the look on their faces, I don't know if you've ever had a client like cry tears of joy in your chair when you're able to deliver. That's got to be like the best feeling to me personally.
Oh, I love that. What's the most challenging transformation you've ever tackled or taken on?
Okay, so I've always been a very eager person, and in the very beginning, like within my first 6 months, I had no idea where I wanted to go, but vivid color always caught my attention. So I got a model, and I wanted to do. Have you seen like the what do they even call that? Like the rainbow prisms.
Yeah.
So I flew to Northern California to learn from, his name is Fab Hair by Josh. He was in Santa Clara. So I took his class and I was so inspired. I went on Facebook, found a model. She had like long, natural level 7 hair down to her waist. And I was going to blonde her globally and then do this rainbow prism on her. And that was the only one that I ever did because it was so challenging and so much work. And so like, it was so much color theory too, which I love. I love color theory, but it came out beautiful. I wish that I had submitted a photo of it, but I just realized while doing that, like, you know what? Hey, like, I don't think that I'm going to end up being passionate about this, but it was such a great experience.
What did it teach you as a colorist, just having taken on that challenge? And, you know, because I think with the way we learn today digitally, right? Even if you have your mannequin head and you're watching across the screen and you're mimicking and they're instructing you virtually, there's still something missing. Then when you are physically human to human, getting your hands in the hair with that instruction. I call it like a personal trainer. It's very different, right? When we work
Yeah,
with a trainer
completely.
online versus a trainer in person.
Totally. And it just,
Form, little tiny mistakes, all of that.
yes, it taught me like what you see on Instagram.
Yeah.
There's so much more to it. You know, you see these gorgeous hair photos and you don't realize that that transformation may have taken 9 hours and cost the person $1,000. And for this experience, like, you know, you see all the gorgeous rainbow hair and you want to recreate it. But what I didn't realize was, um, you know, how much time it would take. It took me 2 days to do this. It was like 6 hours to completely blonde her the first day, and then about 3 hours the next day to do all of the rainbow. And at the end of it, I was so exhausted. I didn't feel the enjoyment that I feel when I can produce like a really luxurious looking brunette. So it was still so fun to do. And the knowledge is still there. You know, if I ever decided to like reach in and pull out that knowledge, it's there and I can redo it. But yeah, the likelihood is probably not going to happen.
No, I feel that. And then too, the other part, the other nuance to that, and no offense, because there are young people making millions of dollars. However, the young people that would want that service, they usually don't come with the money that can pay for that service, right? It's just
It's
a cool
so
thing because
niche.
where are you going to wear that? What corporate job are you going to with that service? Not right.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
So that's
It
the
was
problem. You have to practice,
definitely.
do it on your friends, do it for fun, but that's a tough one, right?
Absolutely.
As a Southern California stylist, how does that local influence affect your work and your creativity?
Oh, okay. Honestly, for me, I'm not sure how much it actually affects my creativity, but for me, there are being in Southern California, especially, I live in a coastal city. There are so many people who want to be blonde. So in the beginning of my career, it was a little bit challenging for me because it's not really something that I wanted to specialize in, but everybody wants to be blonde. So living in an area like that, it made it a little bit more difficult to kind of find my niche and find my people. But I just really had to learn how to market myself for the niche that I'm most interested in.
Yeah, I mean, good point. Because in your area, just like mine, in any West Coast state, you have blondes that are prevalent. That is the prevalent color request, right?
Completely.
So you do have to either convince them to be brunette or somehow carve out your niche and try to farm brunettes or that niche.
Totally. But in California, there are so many creative artists out here. I do feel like though it has been super easy for me to learn from and kind of also creativity it's so contagious. So kind of just being around so many other creative people in my area, it's really easy for me to just like channel that into my career and what I do.
Yeah, that's an advantage you have being in California because California definitely a lot of trends come out of California. For
Absolutely.
sure.
It's nice
It's
to
a
be here.
it's a fashion mecca, I call it. Yeah.
Sometimes it can be a little overwhelming because there's so much going on,
Well, there
but
can be a lot of pretense,
absolutely.
but I just did an episode, a solo episode on fall, my top 5 fall hair trends. And Miss Haley Bieber, thank you for gracing
Yes,
us with yourself because she, I believe, is the trendsetter. I think, you know, her brunette hair, I feel like there was a swing. I don't
that
know.
was the catalyst. Oh my gosh, I'm
Do
so
you
glad that
feel
you brought
that?
that up.
Okay.
I've said this before. A year and a half ago, whenever it was that she decided to ditch the blonde and kind of embrace something a little bit more natural, that was the catalyst, I believe, for not only to embrace our natural color and maybe enhance what we naturally have, but also warmer tones. For the longest time, we were stuck in this like cool tone, ashy tone kind of area. and warmth was so, I'm not going to say looked down upon, but nobody was coming in asking for warmth in their hair. And now that's like 90% of what I do.
Yeah, and it was looked down upon. You know,
Okay,
anything, no, it was. Any kind of warmth was considered brassy.
Yes. Yeah.
Even when it wasn't.
It's taken a long
Oh,
time.
my hair looks orange. It's like, no, you just don't see blue. You just
Exactly.
see cool, but it's not actually orange. But
Exactly.
I digress. What's one thing you wish you knew when you were just starting your career as a colorist that you think would have helped you today?
If I could go back in time, I would have assisted, I think. I have had assistants in the past working under me, and it took them maybe 9 to 12 months to get where I had gotten in 3 years because they were learning from somebody who had already made the mistakes. And even though I was super eager to get out on my own and make my own money and I didn't want to work for anybody else, I think that I could have sped up the process of my success a lot faster.
You didn't assist.
I did not assist.
Huh. Yeah, you did take on a challenge because that is one misstep, I would say.
Absolutely.
No
Yeah.
matter how visual you are, you still need that teaching. It's like being born and you're a toddler and you just go out and get a job.
Yeah.
You still have to be raised. You still have to be taught. You still those foundational skills, right?
And I made
That
so many
beauty
mistakes.
beauty school just does not give you those.
Not at all. It will teach you how to pass state board, but salon reality is a completely different animal. Yeah, I made quite a few mistakes my first year. My first year in the salon, my mom would have to force me to get in the car and drive to work because I was so terrified. And if I had only assisted, like I probably could have negated all of those negative emotions.
Yeah, I mean, hey, but look, we live and we learn, and it didn't stop you from becoming an amazing stylist.
Thank you. Never give up.
What advice would you give someone just starting out, just getting into hair color?
Take as many classes as you can. And when I say take as many classes as you can, that doesn't mean, all of the Instagram celebrity stylists. Take their classes too. There's a lot to learn, but don't be afraid to go to your local beauty supply, Salon Centric, Cosmoprof. They have classes. At least, I'm sure they have a couple a month that you can go to for free or very, very cheap. And even if you think that you're not going to learn something from these educators, you will. Every single class I've ever taken, I've taken something away from it that I'm using today.
I think that's great advice, Kiara, because they're easier to ask a question and get a real answer because a lot of them, they're not influencers.
Right.
They don't have any skin in the game as far as I get paid to give you advice, right?
Exactly.
And so it really comes from the heart. It comes from real, not to say that influencers don't give you real advice. They're all giving you real advice, but you can ask. I think it's a more authentic interaction when you have someone standing right in front of you that you paid $25 to take their class. I think that you're going to get a more raw form of that answer.
Exactly. And typically those class sizes are a little bit smaller. So you will probably be able to interact a little bit more, get a little closer, have a little bit more hands-on experience, if you will, with the smaller class setting.
Yeah, I love that. Let's get into your amazing transformations because you truly are a brunette, just aficionado, if you will.
Thank you.
I'm going to play this reel because you do also a really, I think it's important that you do a consultation before you do the service. And in this particular reel, because I read the caption, I know a lot of people don't, but I did, we're talking budget. And that's something I think that gets missed sometimes, especially if you're new coming into the industry. You're already terrified. Can I achieve what she's expecting me to achieve, right? And then your confidence is just not there. So you start to miss steps, and consultation is one. Do you consult with every client, and do you talk price before the service?
Every single time. Every single person that sits in my chair, whether I've done your hair 1 time, 0 times, 7 times, we're going to do a consultation. If I've done your hair before, I'm going to ask you if there was anything you disliked about it last time, what you liked that you want me to continue to do, and you're going to get a price before we start.
All right, let's give a great example of that.
Yeah, like a rundown in your own words of like what you want me to do for you today as far as color.
I just really like very dark hair, but like my hair's already dark, so it just kind of like falls flat sometimes, and I kind of want to have like a little bit of oomph, if that makes sense.
A little dimension, something to look at.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like just kind of like staying in that price range of like just having that like money piece in the front, but still having that like rich kind of like brown in the back.
Okay, and then look up. Yeah, like.
You nailed it.
Thank you. Oh, I can't wait to talk about this one. I love this one.
Let's talk about it.
So this particular client came in with a budget, and she, luckily though, she likes her hair to remain really dark, but she just wanted like a couple of pieces in the front. And that is like the face framing balayage is such a great budget service for people who don't want to pay $450 for a full balayage, but they still want a little bit going on. That was something that I could do in 10 foils. There's a tutorial on my TikTok if anyone's interested. And that is a huge service that I have been doing ever since this whole inflation has gotten the better of us.
Yes, tell me about it, girl. Ooh, so pretty.
Thank you.
All righty. So what's the inspo behind this one?
So this is a great inspo for anybody who wants that expensive brunette look. It's very warm. It's very rich. And this one, I love talking about formulation. I no longer use Redken shades.
All righty. So you don't use Redken anymore, but you used Redken to achieve this look.
Yes, I've used Redken for so long. This is just, I've discovered using N and NB together in Redken shades, no matter if you are, it doesn't matter how dark your formula is or bright, adding these two together makes the end result so rich. And that's for a low light, a highlight, anything of the sort. I like really hope everybody tries it.
Let me ask you, why don't you use Redken?
So I stopped using Redken earlier in the spring this year. I love Redken. I will always be a Redken stan, but the reason why I stopped using it is because I just wanted something that was going to be a little bit different. I kind of feel like Redken is one of those brands where straight out of school, you don't need a whole lot of knowledge and formulation. You can kind of get by because everybody posts their formulas. And even though one formula is not one size fits all, there's just so much education with Redken shades out there to make a new stylist feel comfortable using it. But I was kind of just looking to branch out. A lot of my stuff was starting to look like other stylist stuff because so many of us you were using Redken shades. And I wanted to give myself a little bit of a challenge. You know, my color theory and my formulation has improved leaps and bounds in the last 7 years. So I wanted to try something where there maybe isn't as much education, and these formulas that I'm coming up with are my own true formulas that I'm using color theory and the color wheel in my head to make these formulas.
Oh my gosh. Yes. I mean, let's go. Like challenging yourself to actually be the scientist. Instead of having it predetermined. You know, you actually have to go in with raw skills and come up with that primary color before it even becomes a secondary color, you know?
Exactly. And
I love that.
Was challenging, but I'm so glad that I did it.
Yeah. I mean, who else came on the show? Goes by Thy Stylist. She's over in New Jersey, and she does a lot of brunettes. And she talked about Joico, and she's the one that turned me on to Joico. and I've been using it for brunette formulas. Oh, the shine. It's
Oh,
insane.
good to know. I'm always open to trying new things. That's like kind of where I'm at right now. I'll have to give that a try.
Yeah, we're going to talk about what you use here shortly, but let's pull up some more transformations here.
Yeah.
So this is a before.
Mhm.
And is this your client? Was she your client? Did she come in this way, or was this previously colored by you?
This was previously colored by me. I want to say this was maybe like 9 or 10 months of her grow out.
Okay.
Yeah,
And look at her after.
it's her
So
after.
what did you do?
So I just did like what I would consider a half custom color. Full custom color, I pretty much recommend every 12 to 18 months. So it's pretty much everything from the ears up and forward. My signature technique.
Oh my gosh, I love that. We can talk about your signature technique. You don't have to give it away, but we're going to talk about how you came up with it for sure.
Yeah, oh, I'd love to.
All righty, so this is another before.
Yes, virgin hair.
Virgin hair. Oh my gosh, I actually had a client come in. I should have brought her into the slideshow because she is 39 years old, getting ready to turn 40, and has never colored her hair before. And she has natural lived-in blonde hair. She has a money piece. She has dimension. It's insane. Like a little kid. I don't ever see that on an adult. Even
God's
if
favorite.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And she doesn't want to color it. And I'm like, and don't ever. Why
I
would you?
wouldn't.
Yeah. So let's look at your after. That is gorgeous.
Thank you.
Oh, and so this is a balayage.
Yes. So I would consider this, a lot of people out there will get upset if you call this a balayage because it's not freehand painting.
Okay.
But it's, I
Foliage.
guess you consider a foliage or just lived in color. But yeah.
Okay. So me, the old departmentalized colorist. So I came from Tony and Guy. Late 90s is when I started, and we were departmentalized back then. So we had to choose. You had to either choose cutting or color. I was stronger in cutting and styling because that's what I love, and did not do color for the first 25 years of my career.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, you would never want to do that today, ever. But when your partner in crime, your colorist, who I worked with that whole entire time, she retired and went into yoga full time. And here I was, because we shared clients, but I didn't know how to do the other half. I had to teach myself during 2020 to color hair. It's just insane, honestly.
They're apples and oranges, color and cutting. You're either stronger in one or the other.
Absolutely. Well, this is beautiful. Let's see one of your other transformations. So this is a level 2, 3,
Yes.
right?
Yes, very dark, very thick and coarse hair.
You got her a nice ashy tone.
Yes. Yep. We lifted her to a level 9. Luckily, her hair was virgin. And if you take small sections, you can definitely get that lift that you need.
All righty. So what technique is this?
So this one is, it's kind of similar to the first one that you showed, with a little bit more root and maybe a little bit more blonde in the front, concentrated towards her face. But the first one and this one are still my signature brunette placements. The one in the middle, I would say, is like a signature blonde placement.
I see an educator, I think.
That is, oh yeah, that's my dream.
I see inspiration for sure. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. All righty. Well, those are great. I mean, that showcases pretty much what you do, right? Do you say you do 80% of brunette work, or?
Yeah, definitely. Maybe possibly even more at this point. It's just something that I've fallen in love with over the past 2-3 years, to the point where as my clientele fills up, I'm accepting less and less blondes, just to make room for, what I'm passionate about.
Do you recommend that to stylists who are maybe maybe on the fence of, I don't know if I can, like, maybe I should do everything, because I have to make money, because that's how we come into the business, right? Trying to grow.
Yeah.
And whatever client we get, whatever they ask for, we become the expert in, even though we're not. So,
I would say niching down. I think that you should focus on niching down after you've been in the industry for maybe a little while, a year or 2 years. If you're a new stylist, I would try to get your hands in as much hair as possible, and don't be so selective and picky on what you're doing. Just get that experience, because that's the most important part. And that's really the only way that we learn. We learn by doing, and you need to do a lot of hair to learn.
oh, I like that. And also, to add to that, that's when you can sort through and see what you love if you take all of it on.
Oh yeah, precisely. That's exactly how I figured out what I wanted to do.
What's your go-to tool, Kiara, or product that you can't live without when doing hair color or just doing your work in general?
Oh my gosh, I have two. So I have the Framar. It's a highlighting brush that has the pintail connected to it. I feel like that is such a basic tool. I can't live without it. I can foil with a foiling comb and a regular brush, but I just feel like it slows me down so much. So the 2-in-1, like, I'm 7 years in and I'm still using it. I will always be using that. As well as my foiling board. I don't even remember what brand it is, but it's wooden and it's beat to crap. It has color all over it. It probably looks unprofessional at this point, but honestly, at this point, I kind of like that it's beat up because it shows how much use it has. And it's perfect for me.
I'm like, have you ever seen an artist? You are an artist, but someone who works with paints, someone who paints canvases, which again still describes us as colorist.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that room, that smock, all of that, it's a mess, which is a good thing.
It shows how much it's been used, how loved it is.
What's one technique that you swear by of all the techniques that you do? What is your, like, this is my go-to, this is my baby?
Well, we're talking about lived in color right now. So when it comes to lived in color, I am a firm believer that you shouldn't necessarily need a root shadow. Your blend should be there without it, but I still do it for every single client because we're adding color to the ends. We should also be adding color to the top to kind of marry the two together and kind of create just that perfect, luxurious, shiny, rich end result.
Oh, I love that. That's awesome. How do you balance with the new hair trends and staying with your own point of view as a colorist? Meaning, you mentioned earlier that you now have your signature technique. So I can see that means that you've kind of broken through the trends and you've created and made it your own.
Yes. Something about trends and our industry is that is something that you always have to keep up with.
Yes.
The trends are constantly changing. So even though that is like my signature technique right now that I have like carefully curated over the years, that's not to say that signature placement might not be it might be changing within the next year or two as the trends shift.
What would you tell a new stylist who feels pressure to keep up with trends? Is there any advice you would have for that person? Because you get one thing down and you may not even have that right. And then there's another thing coming, and then you have to post on social media. Do you feel that it's okay just to stick to a basic principle just for a while until you feel comfortable? Or do you just jump into the trend and just try to keep up with the trend from there?
So I think it kind of depends on where that stylist wants to take their career. And if they are comfortable kind of in their box doing the same thing and they're not interested in switching it up, that's fine. You might not get a whole lot of new clients. You might get new clients that love, the look that you're looking for. But in 2024, we're living in the age of like trends changing as the wind blows. Trends are always changing. If you want to stay a relevant stylist, you really got to keep up with the trends. And even if that means like, scrolling on the Instagram For You page for 10 minutes at a time, just to see every day, like what's out there. I think that it's really important to stay relevant.
I agree. I think it's one of those situations where two things are true at the same time. You have to keep up with the trends, but then there are also always the basics, like doing classic bobs. I've watched people now build a whole following just doing bob, right?
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
you're always gonna have a classic bob be a trend. That's what I mean. Where you can keep it classic and simple just so you can keep up without going balls to the wall, if you will, when you don't feel comfortable, right? So
Definitely.
it's kind of one of those fake it until you make it situations that we've all had to do in our past. Kiara,
Yes.
have you ever had a client request a color that you didn't feel comfortable doing? And how did you handle that situation?
This actually happens all of the time. Because I am a brunette specialist, I get people with naturally very dark hair like myself, who want to be blonde, and they trust me to do it because I work with dark hair. But what they're not realizing is, yes, I work with dark hair, lifting it to a 7 or an 8. I don't take on blonde clients that are naturally dark. So there is a tactful and a nice way to kind of turn them down. But I have also implemented a system to where I know exactly what this client wants before they even get to my chair. So if I have like it's called jot form. So they will submit their form. And if it is particularly a color that I'm either not comfortable or confident in, I will just reply to them saying that that's not within my specialty. And then I can refer them to somebody else.
Very smart. How long did it take before you figured out you needed to do that?
Honestly, probably about 4 years in the industry before I realized I wanted to do a pre-consultation.
How do you say no or suggest alternatives when it's not the right fit? Is that just a mini chat response or a direct message response, or do you actually deliver that audibly yourself?
Um, I love to kind of, if it's not something that I want to do, but I would like to still do their hair, I love to counter offer with other things that might be interesting to them. That can either happen in my chair if they decide like, oh, I kind of want to switch it up. What do you think about this? And maybe I can counter offer and be like, well, I don't think that your hair can handle going that light today. Maybe we do this instead. That's, I think, really good verbiage.
I think that's great advice.
Thank you.
As someone who's still fairly young in the industry, lucky, do you feel like there are opportunities for continued learning? Like, what kind of education or courses do you find valuable at at this stage in your career?
Absolutely. I think that the learning never stops, especially in this career, because the trends are forever changing. So, me personally, in my career, what I try to do is I try to take 1 to 2 classes from stylists that I'm really inspired by at that time per year, and maybe like every other month, like a little class through Salon Centric. I'm really trying to put a lot of focus into hair cutting right now. Take classes on what you are not necessarily like the best at, what maybe you don't find the most interesting to you, and really challenge yourself. Don't just take classes on what interests you. You'll never grow that way.
Oh, I love that. That's perfectly said. All righty, let's get into a little personal stuff with you, because what I found interesting is that you're a horse owner and
Yes.
former equestrian, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
I got my first horse when I was about 14 years old.
Uh,
And she's no longer with us, but I'm still a horse owner to this day. And even though I don't compete anymore, I still love the sport, and I love being outdoors with my horse. It's so amazing for my mental health just to be outdoors, away from my phone, away from the DMs. I really recommend like just getting outside, even if you don't want to be around horses or animals. Leave your phone at home, leave your phone somewhere else, take a hike, go outdoors, go to the beach. It is so healing.
uh, I mean, if we could all do that, I'm telling you, the world would be a better place. Just put it
I
down
agree.
sometimes and all the ranting and all the craziness.
I
How does
agree.
how does horseback riding help with your mental health, and how do you balance that with your busy life as a hairdresser? How
So
does it specifically help?
So I have 2 days out of the week and it's non-negotiable. I will go out to the barn where I keep my horse and I will spend at least 3 to 4 hours with her, either riding her, brushing her, or anything like that. You have to make time for your hobby and you have to make time for yourself in such a demanding career. But as far as my mental health, horses are just, I don't know if they're empathetic beings, but I see them as empathetic beings, and they have needs and wants too, and they connect with you in the same way that you might connect with your best friend or even your dog at home. They have personalities, and they're just amazing, amazing healing creatures.
What's your horse's name, if you don't
Her
mind?
name is Chanel.
Oh my God, of course. How old is she?
She's 7 years old, and I've actually had her since she was 3 months old. I had another horse at the time who was full grown, and I saw this cute little baby, and I was like, I went over to her owner and I was like, I will literally trade you my full grown horse for your baby. And she was like, sold.
Oh
So
my
we
God.
traded. Yeah.
Oh,
And the rest is history. I will never part with her. She's like my heart horse, my spirit animal, my child. I love her so much.
oh, Chanel, that's so cute. I love that.
Thank
And
you.
it's as long as you've been a hairdresser, she's been alive.
Yeah, exactly. That happened all in the same year.
Well, yeah, ooh, yeah, you guys are joined at the hip. You're besties, you are soulmates, you were meant to be together.
Yeah, she's my child.
Do you feel like having a hobby like horseback riding helps you manage the mental challenges of being a stylist? Meaning, what I mean by that is, what advice do you have for new stylists about finding balance between work and their personal life?
Yes, I really think that as stylists, we have to be so on for our clients, and it doesn't stop when your client leaves because now everything is digital and they're, hitting us up via text, call, email, DM. You need to have some sort of escape and you need to have a healthy work-life balance or you will burn out and you will in turn end up resenting this industry because of how demanding and taxing it is. So, find your own hobby. Some people might find that in working out or even just going to the movies. Find something that makes you happy. And twice a week, I really encourage you to just get out and do what makes you happy.
What advice, Kiara, would you give to someone looking to build a clientele? What's your best piece of advice?
My best advice is to be as loud as possible on social media. Posting multiple times a week, minimum of 5 times a week, and utilize more than one platform. I feel like Instagram is a huge platform for hair artists, but don't forget about TikTok. Don't sleep on Pinterest either. Most of our clients are actually looking for their inspo on Pinterest. So if you're uploading your inspo on Pinterest, chances are they're going to also find your Instagram account or your TikTok account and you'll grow that way. But if you are never posting on social media and you're very quiet, people aren't going to know you exist and they're not going to find you. And it's such a competitive industry because everyone else is on social media. So you need to not only be present, but you need to be very active.
Would you say that social media has pretty much replaced having flyers, business cards? To some degree, I don't think anything will ever replace authentic, genuine referrals like word of mouth, but they're pretty neck and neck, I feel.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think handing somebody a business card is at all the same as giving them your Instagram and they can see full on not only the work that you produce, but also who you are as a client. And something that stood out to me recently is, well, I always ask all of my clients, how did you find me and what made you pull the trigger on making an appointment? And one girl said, well, don't get me wrong, I love your work, but I really felt like our personalities would vibe when I saw you in your consultation videos. And that was a game changer for me because I didn't even realize that was a factor that mattered to potential clients is seeing who you are. You need to showcase who you are as well as the hair.
That is such an important tip because people today, I always say your post, when we post our pictures, our photos, our videos, that zoom feature has nothing to do with whether you need glasses or not. People zoom in on what's behind you, what's on top of your head, what's on your neck. What you don't know what people are paying attention to. They literally dissect your content, your video. Even when you are working behind the chair, you'll notice clients, if you gain a pound, lose a pound. They're like, wow, did you change your hair? Did you, I've never seen those shoes before. I mean, they pay attention to everything, and we love it.
Everything. Yeah.
We love that because we have services to sell. We have hair care products to sell. We have ourselves to sell because we want to build a clientele. So keep looking, keep watching, keep asking as far as I'm concerned.
If people are dissecting your content that much, you're doing something right, let me say.
Yeah, 100%. You've been in the industry since 2017. What do you think is the key to staying inspired and motivated in today's generation of hair?
You have to absolutely love what you do, which is exactly why I specialize in niche down, because it's what brings me joy. So if you can find something that you're passionate about, it won't feel like work, and you won't want to give it up. You'll want to continue and strive to be the best stylist that you can be because you're loving what you're doing.
Yeah, well said. Let's go over two things. So I actually have my newbie insiders because, this platform is for the next generation of hair, inspiring, learning, teaching, pro tips, growing, all of the things. We're all in this together. And again, I can't thank you enough for your time today coming on to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So one of my newbie insiders, he goes by Done by Jordan. I met him in a class last spring with Color by Carlos. Yeah, I'm kind of salty right now toward him. I don't know. He didn't do anything. He's just busy. But
I need to know more.
I'm like, I have a sideshow, and that's where I really tell like what I really think. So,
I love it. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to hear the tea on that.
Yeah. And he doesn't even know I'm mad at him, but for many reasons, and it's a byproduct of him, right? And just that whole thing I struggle with in influencers and following counts and who we support and who we forget supported us, more importantly.
Got you.
So I am still on a healing journey with that. But what came with that, I did meet a jewel, a doll. Again, his name is Jordan, and he goes by Done by Jordan. And I am going to have him on the show for my newbie series. All of December, every week, is going to be a brand new hairstylist interview.
Oh, I love that.
I want to go into 2025 with that energy. I just thought they'd be great to close out the year. And then we're going to do a single show with a panel of newbies, which
I just think how refreshing that is, that you are willing to interview people who are just getting their foot in the door and not just interested in, the people with 500,000 followers who aren't even really doing hair anymore. They're just kind of content creators. It's just really a breath of fresh air.
No, I appreciate that, which is why you are now a part of the trendy tribe, I call it, because you're like-minded in that, it's not that I love being an underdog. Don't get me wrong, because I am a middle child, a former band member, nerd, high schooler, and I've always felt like an underdog, right? And I think that's almost my superpower, is that feeling. And I never want to get to a point or a place where I feel are unreachable, untouchable, unrelatable. I never, ever, I don't care how much money I have, how popular I am. And to some degree, I've been on the popular side, but I was the one that still talked to everybody. Right. And so once I arrived, I was a late bloomer. When I was in my 20s, I was definitely a part of the cool kids, but never, I always feel like I'm still that little nerdy, shy, too afraid to raise my hand in class girl. So that's what drives me. that's where I get my passion to help this next generation.
I love that. But you're still a cool kid.
Well, thank you. We're creating our own cool tribe. That's what I say. I don't care about anybody else. I only care about the people who align with me. So, Jordan, I am getting ready to ask Kiara your question. And again, at Done by Jordan, check him out, follow him on his page. He's doing so well as a new hairdresser. All righty. The question is, Kiara, I'd like to know more about your booking process. I saw that you have a request form to fill out for booking. This question is more directed to studio owners or renters, I'd say, but if you're new, I'd feel worried about asking my clients to request to book with me versus having access to my booking link. Is that something more established salons or stylists are doing, or is it a suggestion maybe a new stylist renting could apply to their business model?
That's such a great question. So for me personally, I used to have my booking link public where anybody could go on 24 hours a day and make an appointment with me. But that became so chaotic, and I ended up just completely deleting that and doing all of my booking myself, because people want the cheapest option, and they will go on your booking link and maybe pick like a partial, like the mohawk section. And then that's what you think you're getting into. And they sit down and they show you their inspo photos, and their inspo photos are like maybe a full blonde balayage with tipped out ends, the root shadow, and just the whole 9 yards, but that's not what they booked for. So maybe they take up a 90-minute slot on your books, but they're asking for a 5-hour transformation and they want it for $150. So for me, that is why I had to get rid of the online booking. Now, if you're a new stylist and you don't necessarily have the clientele yet, maybe you do keep the booking link, because I do feel like my potential clients, some people, they see the form and they're like, oh, I don't really want to fill out these questions right now, and they might overlook me. But personally, that's fine, because I personally want clients who are going to kind of respect my policies. And in a way, I kind of feel like if you're not willing to give me this information up front, maybe we might not be the best fit, and you might be more happier with a stylist who can just kind of take you at the snap of a finger.
Yeah. And would you say then that would be when you're at that point where you can take down your booking site and just do call-ins, or, you have a screening, if you will, that would be further along in your career, or would you recommend that to a new stylist?
Personally, I would recommend it to a new stylist if you get anxiety about who is going to be sitting in your chair the next day. For me, when I was building years ago, I hated walk-ins, because I like to be fully mentally prepared on what I'm going to be taking on the next day. So somebody sitting in my chair that wants something that I'm not prepared for, maybe I don't have the color, maybe I wasn't prepared with the right color that they want. Also, maybe I want to research a couple of different ways to be able to produce and deliver this color that they're asking me for. So if you are somebody that likes to be fully prepared and ready to take on a challenge with your most confident version of yourself, do a pre-consultation form. Do the form, have them request an appointment, and then get back to them, and then put them on your books when you know you have the right amount of time to deliver exactly what they're asking of you.
I think that's a great point. And I think that that's something that could help the next generation, is just a different mindset. I know we spoke earlier about take all the things, take every service until you figure out which one you're strongest in, and just try to farm that and try to grow that. While at the same time, I think that's how we get burnout. I think that's why some don't stay in the industry, because you aren't prepared. So what if you get 5 of those in a row of not being prepared, therefore not being able to deliver, right? And then feeling it just takes all the wind out of your sail, because you're like, I needed the money, so I just did it, right? I don't turn down anything, because it's all about, oh, we need the money. How do we make money? How do we make money? Yeah, but not all money is good money, even in the beginning. Because
and that's where your confidence can go right out the window too, is you have too many of those in a row. And for me, my confidence is everything. So preparation is key to confidence. If you're prepared, you're going to be confident in delivering the service.
Yeah, exactly. So if you are new and you are watching, I would seriously consider that, this advice, this pro tip, because gosh, it could shape your entire career.
Can I
It
say
could
one more thing on that topic too?
1000%.
I think it also is a good thing to kind of take the appointment by the reins in the very beginning. You want to be in the driver's seat of that appointment, and you want to be kind of the one calling the shots a little bit. As far as when they go on and book, they can book for whatever they want. They might not necessarily be booking the correct service, and you might not have it, like I said, like enough time. If you are telling them, okay, I'd love to book you an appointment for this service that you're interested in, I have this time and this time and this time available, you're kind of already setting the precedence that, okay, the stylist has a routine. This is how they do things, and I'm just kind of going to go with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, perfect. Perfectly said. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So Jordan has another question for you. Always interested in hearing opinions about niche and being specific in that for greater success. I love to know more about that and how specific is her clientele. Is she only doing brunettes, bronze and blondes and extensions, or is that just what she prefers to book?
Okay.
Meaning, I think what I hear him saying is, that's what he sees on your page. Is that all you do?
Such a great question. It
Yeah.
is not all that I do. I do have I have a little bit of everything. I have some blondes, I have some coppers and some reds. I might just not post every single one of them because you're going to attract what you're putting out. And I don't want to have a whole new clientele of blondies. I love to work with bronze and brunettes. So that's what I'm going to post probably 90% of the time. But something that I do think is important is to still kind of sprinkle in a little bit of blonde, something else. Let people know, like, I'm not just a one-trick pony. I can do it all and just choosing not to.
Okay, Jordan. I think she answered that beautifully. I love the word beautifully. I need to find a new word, honestly. I listen back to some of these. I'm like, Kim, if you say that one more time, I'm literally.
That's me with absolutely.
That is another one that I use. It's in my toolbox, and 1000%. I'm like, listen, I'm running out of words. I will get new ones in 2025, but for now, I got. That's all I got. All righty, Kiara, you did an amazing job today with answering all of my questions. I mean, so specific, so valuable, and I know you're going to inspire somebody out there watching this episode. Oh my gosh. If you didn't get them with the horses, then I don't know. Like they probably stopped listening once I told them you loved horses. They're like, get you the horses.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely. So now this is one of my favorite parts of the show, if not the favorite part for me, because if you watched any of my other episodes, I am the queen of games.
Yes.
And in 2025, I am going to find a new game. But this year I didn't create this. Rapid fire has always been a thing, but I created my title for rapid fire called the 60-second blowout. And for these newer episodes, I found something that makes me happy because I am corny and queenie. I am, oh my gosh.
I love it. I love that.
I love her. So
I love the pink. It goes with the whole vibe.
I know, right? I am committed to this brand. I'm telling you, I can't even wear different clothes. They either have to be one of these colors or else I feel off on the screen. All righty. Are you ready?
I am ready.
All righty. I am going to invite our timer into the mix. I'm inviting her, and then we're going to set her back to 60 seconds because if it's 59, people will come for you, girl, for you about everything. I'm like, listen, I do my best here. Relax. Relax. That's what my stepkids always say. Relax. Alrighty, and gosh, she does not look as good with these glasses. Now I'm gonna try to do it without.
Oh my gosh.
She doesn't look good with the glasses. Not the
So cute.
not the crown. What's your go-to Starbucks order?
Brown sugar oat milk espresso.
Beach day or horse trail ride?
Horse trail ride.
Early bird or night owl?
Early.
Favorite hair product you can't live without?
Ooh, the Unite Booster Spray.
What's your spirit animal?
An elephant.
What's your current favorite Netflix binge?
Love is Blind.
If you could have dinner with any celebrity, who would it be?
Morgan Freeman.
Would you rather color hair for 12 hours straight or muck out stalls for 12 hours?
Oh, color hair for 12 hours.
What's your hidden talent?
I can juggle.
What's one hair trend you wish would never come back?
Wolf cuts.
If you had to pick a career other than hairdressing, what would it be?
Oh, I'd be a weather lady.
What's the best part of owning a horse?
Getting to ride them, getting to love on them, give them baths. It's all equal.
Oh, I love that. You did such an amazing job. And lastly, okay, now Kiara, make your silliest selfie face. Oh. I love that. That shows me.
Oh my God, I can't believe I just did that.
That shows me again how humble my guests are, which is near and dear to my heart. I love that so much. You were so amazing. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Kiara.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. I had a blast.
Till next time, you guys have the best day.
Bye, you guys. Thank you for listening. Hi, you guys. It's Kiara at Color Me Kiara, and I'm going to be sharing today with you guys my favorite fall brunette formula.
For this look, I did all equal parts of 7NB, 8kg, and 8GK Oligo Pro.